All right, it's rolling.
All righty, we are rolling. Well, welcome back to Johnny's Reviews, guys. And today we have something very special going on right now in Johnny Reviews. Guys, this right here on the panel, it's going to be Jeremy and Phil. Now, they're not with us right now in the studio. And yes, I know that it's kind of like a little bit different right now. We're just going to go ahead and do some audio. Where are you guys located again?
We are from Central Illinois, so
Yeah.
like right in the middle, pretty much.
Exactly in the middle.
Yep.
Exactly in the middle. Okay. Well, guys, I wanted to have y'all on. I wanted to really speak to you guys because y'all are making a big impact, and I love when I see this kind of like good positivity and motivation kind of like coming up, and that's really like the objective of a lot of this channel. And when I talk about it, it's just very therapeutic to kind of hear like another podcast kind of doing really well. So I mean, from there, I just kind of wanted to congratulate you guys for all the success that you guys are doing.
Hey, thank you. We appreciate that a lot. It's exactly what we were going for, kind of that positive vibe and giving people something they can enjoy to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to thank you also for having us on. We know that you're making a pretty big rock for yourself too.
Thanks,
on your show. So that's awesome. It's great to see fellow podcast and people promoting that happiness.
Right. So I mean, we're just getting right because you just brought it up, and I really just wanted to talk about like podcasting, and we can kind of start off with that. It's just the idea of podcasting, how it's getting pretty big, and a lot of people either now listen to podcasts or just kind of like are getting into podcasts. And I mean, the wave of podcasting is kind of like it's going to keep getting bigger. Like what was the shift? Why did you guys want to like do this for you? And like what really inspired you guys to do it? I mean, Phil, we can start with you and then we'll go to Jeremy.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, probably within just the past year or two, I really got into listening to podcasts and just finding different ones, and found that there were just ones for just about any topic you could think of.
Right.
And so I really was looking at just how to make one and how to get going on one, and it actually seemed really simple. And I saw that podcast was one of the biggest media growth platforms, I guess.
Right.
So I reached out to Jeremy, who had just recently finished his college program.
Right.
I asked him if he wanted to start a Disney podcast, which we didn't know exactly what we were going to do for Disney at first.
It's kind of just the idea of Disney podcast.
So
I mean, it always has to start with an idea, right?
Right,
Exactly.
right. And so we kind of wanted to look for something that was unique. We wanted to be different from other shows.
Right.
So that's how we kind of got into the whole cast member thing and hearing all the cast member stories.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I mean, like when you guys followed me, and I was like, oh, dude, this is cool. Like I didn't know y'all. I didn't know, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna give him a follow. And my friend Daniel, he was gonna come on my podcast and just kind of start talking. And he was telling me that he was invited on another podcast, and I was like, oh, really? And then next thing I know, it was you guys' podcast, and I was like, oh, dude, this is awesome. Like I like the idea, I really do. And I mean, having Daniel on, and it was right before he got on y'all's show. And it was just kind of like, oh, that's very intriguing, like the way that you guys do it. From then on, I was just a general listener from there, and I was just kind of like routinely going. I'm like, oh, Tuesday and Saturdays, okay, we'll see what's going on. That's awesome. That's awesome
to hear. Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah,
Phil and I check out your podcast as well, so we're watching you on the same way. So, yeah, we appreciate that. But kind of like what Phil was talking about, we met in college, and we became friends pretty quickly, and we've always talked about Disney. He showed me the Happily Ever After soundtrack when it came out, and at first I hated it, and now here I am loving it. But when I went to the college program and came back, like Phil said, he brought up the idea, and then I was like, what if we came up with like, I don't know, we were cast members having a conversation. So I was like, why don't we just call it Cast Conversation?
It was literally actually the first name we came up with, and
we gotta
liked
keep
it.
that.
Yeah.
So it was appropriate for the podcast. And then I kind of joke with Phil now that we're almost like a talk show where we started off where Phil and I would just give our input on things, and now it's sort of turned into a bit of a podcast talk show, which I'm not mad about at all. I enjoy it a lot.
Mhm.
So
No, I mean the adaptability that you have to have, I think, like in the podcasting world is just like you start like really experimenting with a lot of different things, and you don't know what's going to blossom out of that, and that's I mean that's a lot of utmost respect for you guys for one. I mean, like this alone, just kind of like doing it on Skype is new to me, so it's like oh my gosh, when I wanted y'all to come on, I thought you were like centered here. And then I was like, oh, okay, so let's try to see if we can do it this way. So I understand that completely. And, even like how you were just brought up right there, like the name, like a lot of people quit. A lot of people do quit on like people that start off maybe making a YouTube or making a podcast or some way to kind of be an influencer. And, for you guys, I mean, y'all kind of nailed it, and it was just cast conversations right there, and I would have to say I would give y'all a little bit of props because I mean you're sharing your story and you're sharing a lot of your input, and I just want to kind of like show the world like, oh, these guys are really good at what they do, and with that being said, I mean, listen to a lot of what they say to kind of succeed in the same ways that they do. So if let's just say somebody would come up to you and just ask you like, how'd you do it? Or like, what do I have to do to start? What is the prime thing that you would want to give someone advice? Like, I mean, Phil, we can start with you, and then Jeremy, you can chime in.
Okay. Yeah. So something I would say is find something that you just love talking about, that something you're constantly finding yourself talking to with your friends. Right. And just roll with that and see where you can go from there. And another thing is definitely stay consistent.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, just with the consistency, Phil pointed out to me that there's a statistic of podcasts never usually make it past 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So
I heard 7. Like I don't know
7?
Which one's right, okay. But I mean, like
right.
I know what you mean.
It's low. So.
Under 10 episodes.
It's low. Yes.
It's definitely hard to make 2 episodes a week. It has its challenges, especially with being in school.
Right.
But
of course.
Finding the time and making it work, just putting out an episode and putting out a quality episode as well is just key. And like with what Phil was saying, once you find that podcast you like talking about, it's going to be easy for you.
And it's going to take some time for sure because
to get the swing.
Yeah, and I mean you have to want to do it for sure because I know Jeremy and I both put in a good amount of time each week to just put out 2 episodes
in and out of the recording studio.
Right.
Just
making our outlines for our shows and finding our guests,
the ideas.
Yeah. So just a lot of stuff goes into it.
Exactly.
Wow. No. See, even that right there, it's just a learning curve, like for anybody that goes on. Like, I just saw recently too that y'all started putting him on YouTube. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So, basically,
Phil's been grinding with that. That's all Phil.
Yeah.
I can't take any credit for that.
It's we originally started where we were gonna do something like you have going on your YouTube channel.
And let me just say, you got amazing quality.
Yeah.
You got a very nice setup.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I really do appreciate it. I mean, like I want to hear a little bit more, and then I can kind of like chime in. But keep going on what you're saying.
Yeah. So we were gonna originally do that, and then we kind of leaned towards. We thought to ourselves, I don't know if people really are all that interested in just looking at us talk,
right.
But
right.
So we decided to just go with the audio platform, just on Apple and Spotify and stuff like that.
And I think for us also, it brought down a little bit of the stress level because then we didn't have to worry about performing for the camera or like feeling like we weren't doing enough for the camera. We were able to just focus on our voice.
Right. Yeah, and so. But I think we are we want it to be available on YouTube because I know that's a easy platform for everyone to use. So that's why we're working on getting all of our episodes uploaded on YouTube, and then we might start recording ourselves again, and definitely won't be as high quality as you got going.
Definitely
not. But yeah, so
Yeah.
it'll just if people want to watch it on YouTube, that's a way to get our content.
Another audience.
Yeah.
And that's not the wrong approach. Like I completely agree with you there. Like, thank you for one. Like that really does, like, it does make a creator just feel so much more better about themselves whenever they you actually like hear other people like, oh man, I heard your podcast, or I saw your podcast, and so thank you for that. And and for two, I mean, it's just one of those things where you just kind of like find out what you're good at, what you're not good at. And I'm never one to kind of like always depict, because you always want to keep learning and you always want to keep like experimenting. So that's one thing where I definitely like. And so when I started realizing like, oh, maybe I could put this on YouTube, and I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys have like maybe heard or seen other podcasts, and you're like, what if we tried this, or what if we tried that, or I'm pretty sure that's like in the round table that when y'all discuss like new possible ideas that you got going on, and formulas that do work and don't work. It's just I feel like that is the daily struggle of someone that is really trying to create something. And I mean, for anybody wanting to start or do something, man, I like, why not? That's and so yeah, and that's why I saw that y'all were going like with the YouTube, and I was like, that's definitely like that's the right way. Like I do agree a lot. So I mean, for one, like that, I think is, oh my gosh, even the great content, man. Like whenever I started just listening every single time that y'all would put an episode on, I just think that one kind of like inspired me a little bit more. Like and I think that's what a podcast should do, or just like be able to kind of say like, oh yeah, there's a different way of looking at things that you're interested in, or why is it why do we think a certain way? So like if I was asking you guys, what's the purpose of getting your message out there? Like, if you told me how to start it, but if you guys had to really just create a purpose for anybody to kind of keep pursuing what they're pursuing and not really quit, what's the message that you can give that creator, or the person that's really trying to make it in this world? Because it's hard not getting paid. Like, it's hard not getting paid and doing it as a hobby at first. And that's something that a lot of people just don't look into when doing like stuff like this, or really trying to do it. So if I had to leave it in your all's court right now and just say like, Phil, Jeremy, what do I have to do to succeed? Like, I know you're telling me to do all these things, but if you had to really be one word, what would that be?
Ooh, one word. I think if I could sum it up in one word, it would come down to, I guess, personal drive, I guess. Because I know if I could expand on that. Persistence. Yeah, that's a good one.
Persistence. Okay, I like that one. I really do like that one. Okay.
It's definitely, of course, we do it for the audience, but I think Phil and I, speaking for Phil, we do it for ourselves too, because it's just a lot of fun for us to be able to make these podcasts, even if not a single person listens, because we're just having fun talking about something that we love.
For sure.
So,
and it's also awesome just being able to meet all these people. So
yes.
we're making like two to three new friends like every single
100%.
week. And it's awesome because I was telling Jeremy the other day we could message any one of our guests and just be like, hey, what's going on?
Any three of the Emilys.
Yeah.
And I just saw that one too. That was the third Emily I've had on there.
It's weird how many Emilys we got.
Yeah. Hey, we'll keep it kind of if it matters. But
it's a common name. I mean, I'm not gonna like, but it's a common name. I feel like
for sure. That I know that Phil and I, one of our first struggles within the 10 episode area, we were saying that like, we were kind of frustrated because we didn't have as many listens as we wanted, like you were kind of talking about.
Right.
And then we were just like, okay, we got to keep going. We know that like consistency is key, and if we keep putting out content, people are going to start listening more. And we've only been a podcast now for about 3.5 months, but
maybe 4,
maybe
3 and
4
a
now.
half, 4.
Yeah, our listenership has gone up significantly since we've started, which is really good for us. But of course, it's still going to take time, and it's not going to stop. Hopefully, so.
Right. I don't think it's gonna stop, man. I saw from the beginning, like get go, and from like how much y'all have grown, and I'll give you so much props for that, and the ideas, and I feel like they keep flowing. So especially with ideas, what do you think is next for you guys?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, we're actually just recently started planning our 50th episode.
Yes.
We're trying to do something really special for that.
We've been reaching out to a lot of different people to get them on our show.
For sure. Yes.
So yeah, we'll hopefully we can get something locked down, something cool for that. But it's still yet to be seen. We're wanting to get some merchandise.
Yes.
We want something that has our logo on it.
It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be too expensive. We just want something that we can show we have a brand.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Well, guys, I can just tell you right now. I mean, you guys. I will buy that because that's what I try to do on my. I want people to grow, and so like that's one reason why I wanted y'all to at least have another audience, and that's kind of like the fuel that people need to kind of like see that, oh my gosh, there's plenty of things that you can talk about, and Phil and Jeremy is just one of those things that definitely will ring to a lot of Disney employees, Disney fans, anybody that loves Disney. I mean, that's and you put that platform on there, and everybody's gonna love it. That's what's crazy about it.
Yeah, there's many more Disney fans than I probably realized.
And there'll never not be Disney fans.
Yeah,
there's always Disney fans.
True.
So that's one thing we were excited about with this topic, is that we feel as though we'll always have something that we're able to talk about, whether it's a cast member or Disney news or kind of anything under that realm of Disney. So that's big.
I guess I just thought of something to also help in the beginning stages of your podcast career, I guess. If you guys are wanting to start one, it also definitely helps to have a social media presence.
Yes.
Just
100%.
That way people are seeing you, and you're kind of just in the back of their mind, and they're seeing you on their social media feed, and it definitely helps. Definitely helps.
It keeps you humanized, I guess. Like,
Right.
you're not a character. They don't see you as like, oh my God, it's celebrity. It keeps you kind of grounded.
Exactly. Like we're just two guys in a room.
Two guys in a room talking to nothing but Disney, and
right.
So I understand that completely, and I mean that's another reason why I wanted you guys to kind of like come on, because I see so much potential with you guys, and I'm just kind of like oh, they're gonna be something big, and just why not help them out? Why not like give them that ideal way to kind of still kind of keep them human, and not make sure that they don't become a character, or like they don't become like this evil, or like I don't know, like people kind of like depict them as or not you guys, but just a character to be a little bit more of like they're above everybody else, and now that's not the case with you guys. Like y'all are completely down to earth. Y'all really like, every time I listen to you guys and your stories with PhotoPass, and I'm just kind of like, oh, these are funny. Like I love listening to these. They're so hilarious.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot, and we definitely have a lot of fun here behind the scenes, especially since we don't have a camera rolling. We like to mess with each other during the podcast. I actually had a laughing fit on one of the episodes a few days ago, where I had to mute the mic.
Please do explain. Please explain. Got it.
So I don't remember what the episode was.
It was Selena.
Selena, yeah. So I think it was episode 34, something like that.
Something
we were talking about how she works at Chef Mickey's, and she's also a Pirates of the Caribbean cast member. And so when we welcomed her, I felt so bad. I went arg, and then Phil went arg, Selena, and then from there I just absolutely lost it.
Jeremy could not hold it in.
I I could not talk, and so I had to mute the mic. And then we have different hand signs that we use for each other to tell each other to like talk or not talk. And so I told Phil to vamp while I was laughing, and 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 then later on, Phil sets up the outlines of the episodes, and the first question he put down for her Chef Mickey job was, "What time does the restaurant close?" That was the first question he put, and so I didn't read it beforehand, of course, the one time, and so I go into it and I say, "All right, so getting into your Chef Mickey questions, what time does the restaurant close?" And I just absolutely lost it.
And Jeremy's just like, "Why did you put that as the first question?"
I was out for about 5 minutes, and Phil just had to talk. Oh, it was so funny.
Oh my God, it's hilarious, man. She was she's a seater, right? Or she's a
she was a seater at Chef Mickey's, and then also Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates
of the Caribbean attraction.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. It was the one right after or before Emily's, right?
Right.
That last one.
Yeah.
So and that's funny, man. And like just even alone here. I mean, are you guys native to the area, or like were y'all native to Florida and y'all just moved, or did y'all go just for the college program?
So no, we're actually from Central Illinois. Our hometowns are about an hour 15 minutes or so apart. And then we met in college. Freshman year, we were actually next door neighbors on our in our dorms.
I was in Phil's room about every day.
Yep, pretty much. And so
that's the college life right there.
Exactly. Right. And then I had decided that I wanted to do the college program, so I applied for the spring of 2018 program. That was my sophomore year of college, and then Jeremy ended up applying a year after that, and he just got done with his in the spring of 2019. So we were just down there for the college program, and sadly had to come back.
And it was kind of cool because since Phil went before I did, he was able to give me like the tips and the tricks of the college program, so I didn't go in too blind.
Right.
And so I guess.
So Phil, you did it first, Phil, and then Jeremy followed after.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So we kind of also had with this podcast in mind to help people that were pursuing the college program to have an outlet that they could listen to kind of calm their nerves and even calm their parents' nerves about what the jobs they'd be doing are.
For sure. It's like it was very it's very nerve-wracking for anybody that goes through the interview, and then next thing I know, they get a position that no one knows about, or like they hear very negative, just ideas about it, and they kind of scare themselves out of it, and that's what's saddening.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And listening through a lot of them, and I mean that you're right, and that could give definitely like someone that is applying or looking to apply a little bit of just some sense of what you're going to do. You're going there to learn, but you are definitely going to go and work. It's a job for sure.
Yeah, it's a 9-to-5 job for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. And so Phil, you said you did photo, and how was that?
So Jeremy actually did photo, and I was
Jeremy. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I was the mini golf attractions host.
Oh snap! So So let's start with Jeremy this time. We'll just go with PhotoPass first.
Yeah. So PhotoPass, it was ridiculously awesome. It was everything I wanted, and it was actually the job I wanted to. So I got pretty fortunate, and I opened my email and I saw I was gonna be a PhotoPass photographer. And when I found out my role was in Hollywood Studios, I was a little discouraged because at the time Hollywood Studios was my least favorite park.
Gotcha.
And so once I got in and I started working there, I fell in love with Hollywood Studios, and I could never imagine working anywhere else. I picked up a few shifts at Epcot and Magic Kingdom, so I did get a chance to work elsewhere. But it was really cool getting to work with all the characters, the guests, the meeting the families from different countries, picking up a few phrases from them. And so I wouldn't trade that role for anything there. It was super awesome being able to essentially be the guest relations of the streets. That's what a lot of people called us, because we had to know everything. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun, and getting to clock in for the mouse every day was an unforgettable experience.
I agree with you there, and I feel for you that. Like, I mean, just working for the mouse in general, it just does something to you. You just now you're part of this religion group, and you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, like I live, breathe, and I just consume so much Mickey and so much more. Like it's hilarious. I just think it's like that's what working for Disney does to you. And people think it's a bad thing, but it's not. It's always such a great pleasure just to know all the different people that just flock to Orlando just to come and see Walt Disney World, and that's the most inspirational thing about it.
Yeah, it was awesome to see the people that you could just tell from their faces it was their first time there.
Yeah.
And so getting to make those experiences for people and making those magical moments for the people that it was their first time ever stepping on Disney property after probably saving up for years.
Yes.
Was truly humbling. Truly.
It is. I mean, and that I can kind of relate to, just kind of like, it's not something where we can go all the time. And, those that do, grateful. And that's awesome. But like, just knowing that there's families out there that they would literally save up as much money as they can just to kind of come here. And I'm like, man, I'm a part of that. Like, you are a part of that. You are a part of all of that process. And it's so humbling, so humbling. And Phil, what about you? Okay.
Yeah. So I was mini golf, like I said. Going into it, I was a little uncertain because at first I didn't even realize that Disney had miniature golf. So I looked it up when I got assigned that because I had no idea.
Right.
And so on my first day of training, so on the job training,
yes.
My trainer told me he's like, you lucked out with this job, and I was like, oh really? How's that?
He told you straight up right there.
He said he was like, this is the most relaxed job you could ever get at Disney, and I said, okay, I guess that sounds a little promising.
Yeah.
And he was not lying. It was a great time because there was usually only 3 of us total working at a time. And I mean, we definitely had our busy times. Like, there were several times where we hit a 2-hour wait for miniature golf, and I could not imagine waiting 2 hours to play mini golf. But we had those times, and but then there were definitely our slow times, which was a lot of fun because I just got to know my coworkers really well, and it was also a great opportunity at mini golf to create magic moments.
Right.
So many ways to do that. One of them was we had a bunch of certificates that we were able to give out and put the kids' names on them and write down the score they got. And then we would also sometimes give them the golf balls because some of the kids loved the golf balls. And another big thing that I would do, I don't think you could really do this any other place on Disney property without documenting it. Because mini golf, they said, was I forget the exact word they used, but basically it's all paid up, and whatever comes from mini golf is just straight profit pretty much.
Yeah.
So we were able to basically give away free rounds of golf without having to document it. So if there were often times where kids would come up and be like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite thing to do. Again, I don't know, with all the things to do at Disney, why mini golf?
Why mini golf? I mean, you could have it anywhere else.
Right. But if the kids were so excited and so pumped to play mini golf, I'd be like, you guys can just go on for free today. It's on us. And
it's on us.
I freak out.
Yeah, it was awesome because it was not cheap to play mini golf. So it was really cool to be able to do that.
That's crazy, man. I mean, you especially because you're at a resort, right?
So there's the Fantasia Gardens, which is over by the Swan and Dolphin Hotel,
Oh,
and
okay.
then I also would work at Winter Summerland, which is right next to Blizzard Beach.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, I remember seeing that one now. So and kind of recognizing it now. I just feel like when you work outside of the park, or it's
Mhm.
just it's easier to kind of connect, like, because one, I mean, now I kind of like, I work at a resort, so it's easier to connect with people and have magical moments that way than sort of. And I'm not saying that you can't have it in the park, but it definitely makes their days 10 times better. And I mean, that just goes what you were just saying right there. It's just a lenient way, and I didn't think that it would be like 2 hours long, or just to go play some mini golf, especially over there. That's what's crazy to me. But I mean, from that alone, just kind of, let's say, is like people get impatient, or people just maybe having a bad day, or people just it's just it gives you a easier access to make their day 10 times better. And I mean, regardless if you're in the park or not, that's the whole purpose of Disney.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. It's one of the most rewarding jobs for. I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. Just like.
I kind of get what you're saying.
But yeah, I mean, it may not be rewarding like monetary wise,
yeah,
but
that's exactly what I thought you were going with.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's not the greatest pay for sure, but at the end of the day, I was always happy.
Mhm.
I never necessarily had an awful day.
Right.
I mean,
'Cause
you've had
guests would
long days,
expect me.
and like a guest would kind of like say something, and you're just like, but that doesn't mean you're having a bad day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna kind of touch on how, like, with PhotoPass, I always got to see guests kind of at their happiest for me. So that was kind of a plus for my personal role. I never really had awfully bad experiences
Right.
because they were getting their picture taken. So for the most part, they were happy. The kids sometimes weren't.
You got to smile for the picture.
Yeah, exactly. Smile for the mouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I was fortunate enough to be in a role where people were generally happy.
You see, and I can kind of agree with you there. I mean, like, so I can kind of say, like, working at parking, especially, like, there's this kind of like struggle between the in between, like, they're all excited to get in the park, and then the struggle getting them inside the park. So it's like, in that daily struggle, there's always going to be like those families that are easily like, they something
I know.
will kind of get them mad or something like that. So I mean, being PhotoPass, I can kind of understand, like, everybody's happy, or kind of like you get those intentional, like, people that want that photo and that photographic memory, and that you have them there, and they're always in that sort of realm, like, all right, let's take a picture, guys, come on, let's go, come on. And
Exactly.
so I understand that completely.
Well, and of course, everyone's been in the parking lots. I see how the guests sometimes treat the parking workers, and it's not always the kindest, because parking can be a stressful thing for people. I know a lot of people just don't like driving, and with the stress of Disney and the high monetary value of Disney, there is a lot of stress in those parking lots. So props to you and your team for always keeping it cool and making the flow easy, because I know just parking alone is the first thing you do, and the first impression guests have. You are the first impression that guests will have on cast members, and so the way you guys do parking and make it so seamless is phenomenal.
For sure. Thank you. And I mean, I'll tell everybody that too, because we have the long days, but at the same time, I mean, just finding that group of people that are there to, generally, they have fun, but also be safe, and that's also like one of those. They're the safety critical roles, so those are like the ones where you have to be on your top priorities, and you have to be like on point with a lot of things, and people just exclude that, or just don't think of it as being, nothing bad can happen in the parking lot, so they just do whatever they want. But and that's always the tough part, is just having that sense of balance between not like being so forceful, but also just kind of like having a backbone when you kind of say the sort of things that you have to say to ensure that everybody's safe. And that's the hard thing to do, especially as a cast member, because it's Disney always has a smile and has a front and has an ideal way of dealing with guests that are having a bad day. So it's kind of tough. So it's always having that really good balance is that to determine what to do in a certain situation. That's why I give him so much props. And I mean, being out there in the heat, and granted, everybody's out there in the heat. So like that's why I don't really say like, oh, you're always out there in the heat, like this is it. And I'm like, no, like we're all out there. I mean, if you're like inside and you're a merchandiser, you have something like it's great. But I mean, we're all out there. We're all in our costumes. We're all sweating. We're all it's just that thing that you just gotta like suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go. Like let's go to work.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
So it's fun. Like that's why like I love working here. I love the everything that really like Disney does stand for, and it's very memorable, and that's why I give it so much props. And guys, that's one thing I was like also like, do y'all tend to come back, or are y'all like just kind of like going back with what you're doing back at home, and what's the deal like?
So yeah, I've looked at or I've actually applied for professional internship programs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so I'm waiting to hear on those, but so fingers crossed on that. But I know they're really tough, high competition in those. But so that would be my thing going back to Disney. If I were to go back to Disney, it'd be for that most likely.
For sure.
Maybe in the future, I would end up doing something on the like at Team Disney or on the corporate side, because I'm a finance major. That's awesome. That would be what I'd go into. So we'll see if I ever end up back with the company again. I would be ecstatic to do so. But yeah.
And so for me, I definitely want to make my way back somehow in some way. I'd love to do another internship maybe after I'm done with college. I'm currently a music major, so there's not much that I've seen so far that I can do with music other than like the Dapper Dans or something like that.
Yeah.
But as soon as I finish up my degree, which is going to be done in 2021, Phil actually gets out of here this semester, which is exciting for him.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations too.
Yeah, thank you.
I definitely want to get back there at some point, just for a little bit of time. I really enjoyed my time there, and I'm not ready to be done with the Disney company. I know Phil's the same way. I miss my coworkers a lot. I miss the quality of life there, and just being at the parks for work. That's an incredible experience.
That's awesome, dude. Like even being like, I give you props, man, for being the numbers guy, Phil, because whoa, dude, that's like that's for one, like not a lot of people can do that, and one, I give you props for that, and Jeremy being the music and creative side. It's just, I like the balance between both of y'all. For one, it's just like it might not be like so into it right now, but I think later on, I think there's gonna be something where both of y'all like have like the brains to do it and the creativeness to do it, and that's honestly that's what works. And like what do you do, man? Do you like play music, or do you is it just kind of like a vocal, or what is it?
So I started here as a music education major, and then I did 3 years of that, switched to music therapy. So that's using music in a clinical intervention setting in hospitals, hospice care, jails, a lot of different places, to alleviate stress or other conditions. But I'm actually going back to music education come this spring. So I'll be finishing up with my ed degree in 2021, which is exciting, so I can get back into the teaching life.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's why I give like a lot of music majors, like, or anybody that's going into some sort of creative realm. I'm like, oh, dude, props. And I think there's definitely gonna be a future when like a lot of like futuristic things kind of like start taking over a lot of things, and I'm just kind of like, no, you need some creative venture, you need some sort of like realm to look into and to
For sure.
really thrive in, and I that's why I gave you props, man.
Thank
and
you.
Yeah, dude, and Phil, oh my God, man, you're smart as heck, man. That's why I was like,
Ooh, I don't know about that. No, I'm kidding. No, yeah, Phil's the brain of the operations.
But
yeah,
it's kind of interesting that you bring it up. I never really thought about it that way. Where Jeremy does kind of have the creative mind, and I'm more of an analytical person. I kind of just I don't think about stuff a lot.
It's kind of funny because like I do our cover art, I do like the music, I do like the editing of the podcast, whereas Phil does all the analytical stuff. He makes the notes for the episode. He reaches out to sponsors. He finds the guests for us. So we definitely do have that obvious balance of things. So it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because you're hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Dude, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, just kind of, when you speak to a lot of people, you start kind of like understanding the way they think, and you start understanding like what's the process and why you make these decisions. And I mean, that's I granted, just by hearing you guys, I can kind of like foresee like the difference between you guys, and that's why I'm like, oh, okay, this makes total sense. It makes like in a standpoint where you are creating something, and with that creation there has to be progression and process, but also innovation and experiencing. And so that's why it's like the analytical meets the creative side, and that's why I think it's like it works perfectly well, dude. And like a lot of the ideas that you've like brought up, yeah, dude, I'm over here just writing them down, and I'm just writing down a lot of things that we were just talking about in the beginning, and I'm like, oh, dude, I'm learning so much. Like that's in the process of like just talking in general. It's just you learn a lot from plenty of people, from anybody you talk to. So it's like that alone. It's just like, oh, they have something, and I love how they share it, and that's why I give both of you props. And
for sure. Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate that you're like accepting what we say, and we've definitely pulled from what you do as well. I've been doing a lot of research on your podcast, and I like the way you talk to guests. I like the way you hold yourself as an interviewer. So yes. I'm definitely going to be pulling from that, and Phil and I are going to do our research of our own to better ourselves as podcasters too.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm just glad, like, just hearing that, like, it keeps you going. Like, when you have that good momentum, and that kind of like pushes you to keep going, and that's always the hard part, is always finding that, or not finding it, but like having that momentum, because you can also have bad momentum, but having that good momentum.
There's definitely times where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep doing this, because in the beginning, like having that little minimum like listenership, it was rough. Being like, oh, are we making this for nothing? Like, of course we're enjoying ourselves and we're making it for us, but are we even reaching an audience? But with that growth, it just feels good.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. At the beginning, I mean, we enjoyed doing it, but we were like, is it worth recording it? We could just talk to each other about it. But yeah, so it's cool to see the growth in that.
It's cool to know we're talking to people, and that actual real life people are listening to us.
For sure. And that's what I like. Like the fact that you would go like a little bit more beyond than what like a person would go to keep creating, and that's like props. Like, even though I couldn't see you right here next to me, like right in front of me, to know that, okay, this isn't an episode. No, that's nonsense. Like, the way that you talk on the phone, the way you talk or just see each other on Skype, the way that you convey the message is what really matters. And I think that's definitely a lot of what I'm pulling from you guys. And that's why I'm like, oh, dude, for sure, I would love to have them on, because they do reach a sort of understanding of like starting from nothing and then creating something. So like, and that's why I you tend to pull more things like struggling and the struggle, and that's what I love talking about, is because people don't realize how hard a thing like this is, or how hard it is to kind of pursue something that you really want. And essentially that's the groundwork and the pretty much the foundation of where you guys are gonna be going. And it's like, you have a strong foundation, boom, and you're just creating and building and like you're gonna have a plateau, but that's about life. Like that's what's gonna happen.
That's all part of it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And so we've also talked a lot about how we don't want to take ourselves too seriously. I think even with the name Cast Conversations, it's a very informal invitation onto the show of talking and just having a conversation. It's nothing too serious. It's nothing too crazy.
For sure.
Like we said, it's just two guys in a room talking to someone else that's a couple thousand miles away. So
yeah. See, that's no, that's also a good message. I mean, I try to pull messages like out of all of these places, but like not taking yourself so serious. It's I always have like having to play with yourself, like, but like just be able to learn and know that guys, it's has to be fun and happy towards you, like, and that is a good message to have for anybody. And like towards I know you guys like y'all gave me the opportunity to talk to you guys, and thank you for that. So like the last things I really want to like really get into is just I have like 3 kind of like boom questions, like they're like little fast questions, and then we'll kind of like end it in that sort of note.
Before we start, who do you want to answer first?
We go Phil, then Jeremy.
All right, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite park?
Animal Kingdom.
Hollywood Studios. Yes, I'll go with that.
Okay. Hollywood Studios?
Hollywood Studios, that's the answer. Final answer. Locking it in.
Oh, man. Creating enemies, I see. All right.
I got to stick with the home park. I will say,
I know.
If it wasn't my home park, Animal Kingdom for sure.
10-4 to that. 10-4 to that. Okay. Second one. It's your favorite, Renaissance or any movie, pretty much. Any Disney movie.
Who?
Boom, boom, boom.
See,
boom.
we asked these, and I never even really think about it.
See, because now you're the interviewer is getting interviewed, and it's like that's awesome.
I've always wondered what to answer.
For me, I have to go with Toy Story.
Toy Story,
my favorite.
Gotcha. Toy Story. That's the one that made it for you. You're like, oh my god, I fell in love with Disney there. And
my dog's name is Buzz, so it's definitely. It's my favorite for sure.
Makes sense right there. Jeremy?
This is also a hard one for me because I have a lot of ones where it's like that paved the way for my Disney love.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm like, man.
It's really hard because I have so many like classical favorites, like the Toy Story, the Lion King, all of those. But I think it's more of a modern one. I really liked Coco.
Yeah, I was gonna say a new modern one for me would be Coco.
You're speaking my language right now, and I love it. Just like right there.
Very touching movie.
And I get so real quick, another one for me that's uncommon is Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like, I don't know why, but I used to watch that movie all the time, and now that they have a scene in Happily Ever After for it,
that's big.
I was surprised that they were having something.
You know what I didn't say? I should have said Mulan.
Yeah,
I talk about Mulan all the time.
Yeah,
I'd say Mulan is up there too.
Damn. So I see, like, just it's so hard, but then it gets you like, man, why do I like this movie? Why do I like this movie? And it's just like, oh, now you're fighting with yourself and saying, no, Jeremy, I like this one. No, Phil, I like this one. It's just like,
it's weird being on the opposite side of the questions now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, now this one's like, oh man, and I can't wait to talk about it because I already have like so many great things that I'm going to be talking about with this one, but this one's kind of like what an overall statement. This is the last one. We can try to end it with this one just to see if later on future comes and we'll end up talking about this for sure. But what are you looking forward to in the Disney Plus service?
Oh, that's a good question. I was actually gonna talk with Jeremy about that on our next episode.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
we'll talk about that too.
Yeah. So the thing I'm looking forward to most is actually the documentary One Day at Disney.
Yes, that looks so good.
That does
I'm
good.
really excited about that.
That one does look really good. I mean, I can't. Oh, see that I already had a list of like, okay, this is the top three for sure.
I've got so much stuff to watch,
dude.
So
Jeremy?
For me, I guess mine's sort of a cheesier answer. Mine's looking forward into the future, and so eventually when I have like kids of my own, it'll be really cool to use that service to show them like what I grew up on and like watch those shows with them and then create a whole new generation of Disney fans within my family.
Right. That is super cheesy, but that answers the question.
But I would say a less cheesy answer: the new Star Wars film looks awesome, or the new Star Wars
series,
Mandalorian.
Yes,
very dark.
Yeah, it does.
Oh yeah, dude, and that's something that like Disney, they definitely need to capitalize on. Is just a little bit more of a dark sequences and darker sort of. I mean, dude, I don't like. I'm trying to think of like the last Halloween movie that was like super dark, or like there's so much they can do, and I'm like, man, that's a good suspense thriller that you can have in your Disney umbrella of ownership that you can have. I don't know.
Right.
That's crazy. So, dude, that's awesome. I love hearing both of your perspectives on those. Well, guys, I really do appreciate letting me have the time to talk to you guys. I know we just mentioned an hour, and that's awesome, man. I think we covered a bunch of plenty new things that maybe my audience didn't know about you guys, and your audience didn't know about you guys. And that's what I love to do, is just talk about where you're going, like the potential with you guys, and just the fact that you have a positive message overall, and just know that you are growing, and with that growing there is struggle, and there's a daily living that you have to kind of pursue and overcome. And guys, I love it. I love everything that you guys are doing, and dude, keep going. And that's pretty much my only message for you guys. And any last words? This is like your plug pretty much for me anyway, or like in my episode, at my show, like they would tend to push out what they have coming up next. So Phil, Jeremy, this is your time to shine right now, guys. Anything else that's new coming up?
Well, first off, thank you, giant thank you on behalf of both of us for having us on the show. This was an awesome experience, because we're always the one that are interviewing, and we've never gotten the chance to be interviewed. So this was awesome, and you were a great host. So thank you very much for having us on. We were actually going to message you about this. We'd love to return the favor and have you on the show. So we'll keep in contact with you on Instagram to figure out the specifics for that. But I think that could be a lot of fun to switch it up and have your audience get to know some things about you and our audience for you. So
thank you guys, and I really do appreciate it.
I think I sort of didn't make sense on the ending there, but that's all right.
No, I got the message. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate it.
But I guess to plug us really quick, if you want to give us a follow on Instagram, it's Cast Conversations, and then our Twitter is @CastConvo. They didn't let us do the whole thing, so we had to slice it off a little bit. But we just gonna keep going with our interviews. Of course, we're looking forward to that possible giant 50th episode.
Yeah, I mean, got high hopes for it. Hopefully, our hopes are not crushed.
Yes,
but so that it should be a good one if all goes according to plan.
We have both of our fingers crossed.
Yes.
Well, there you have it. There you have it, folks. I love it. And, plenty of new things to come from Phil and Jeremy from Cast Conversations. They're going to be, I'm going to be promoting them a lot, guys. You should go check out a lot of their things. I love every single episode from the very beginning to now, folks. Anything that they have going on, it is great, great. And you guys, this is Phil and Jeremy. Thank you guys for coming on, and I really do appreciate it. And folks, usually I would tell them to kind of just wave at the camera and say goodbye. But really, guys, I really do appreciate it. And yes, anything else we can try to work each other with. And yeah, definitely, man.
For sure. Guys, thank you again. Yeah. Thank you very much. We waved at the mic for you. So.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Guys, they waved at the mic for you.
Thanks again. We appreciate it.
Alrighty, guys. I do appreciate it. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later.
All right.